Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba!
President Díaz-Canel asked for their own people to kill their own people. So they're going into war right now. They're coming into their homes in the middle of the night and kidnapping their children.
What you're doing right now in Cuba is illegal. You can be sent to jail right now just for doing this. Interviewing somebody speaking the truth, that's illegal.
Being a journalist myself and trying to do my job in Russia, it was after certain actions of Russian government, it's getting harder and harder right now.
Food is a big problem. Communication is a big problem. Make it simple. We do not have freedom of speech, we do not have a freedom of religion, and we do not have a freedom of information. And as long as you don't have those three things, you're not free.
I think they just don't know what is communism. They think it's something, a nice idea, that everyone will be equal, but it is not.
Even when you can see Che Guevara in the T-shirt, and you think, oh no, Che Guevara was wonderful. I don't know. You should not believe in it.
Hey Justin, this is for you, man. We need your help. We really do. Okay?
My family is there, and I'm pretty sure I won't be allowed to enter the country again. If I were inside the country, I would be in jail right now, for sure.
So every time you go down there, you are indirectly supporting this system, right? And you're basically breathing in or giving it new life. So it's very simple for the Ghanaians. Go take your business somewhere else. Don't go to Cuba while they are still a communist country, right? There are many beautiful places all over the Caribbean that you can go to and, spend your money there.
Viva Cuba Libre. Díaz-Canel sin casa.
Sheila Gunn Reid for Rebel News, and I'm here at the Alberta Legislature. It is Friday night, and I'm here at a protest in solidarity with the Cuban people as they rise up and fight for freedom against the authoritarian communist Cuban regime that has oppressed the people of Cuba for decades and decades through censorship and human rights violations. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said very few things that are critical of the Cuban regime. It was actually his dad that parted ways with the Americans and broke the ongoing embargo against the communist Cuban regime. Now, Cuba is just 90 miles from America's shore, and yet it is so fundamentally backward when it comes to free speech, human rights, and the dignity that democracy affords us all. Now, I'm going to wade into the crowd. I'm eager and excited to hear what they have to say. And I want to hear what their messages are for our politicians in Ottawa. People are just starting to gather up. Let's go check it out.
No more communism! No more communism!
Some of the mainstream media has said this is not about freedom, but it's about vaccines.
I don't think that's true. It's true that we don't have medicine, that we don't have a lot of food. They keep blaming the embargo, blaming the American, but that's not 100% true. For sure that it affects the country, but that's not the main reason. We just saw the recent news when they opened the customs, so nothing changed. Embargo's still in place, and now they open. So they have the key. They can open for us. They can make it better, but they don't want to. They want a dictatorship without any party or anybody that is opposing to them, and that's not right. They need somebody to actually tell them what they're doing wrong, and they don't want to listen to this. So it's not only the vaccine, that's what they want to tell the Cuban people on the news, but that's not the real news. Now it's too late to give us vaccine or give us food. Now we want freedom.
Can I ask you why you came to the protest today?
Here, for freedom, for my people, for all my family there in Cuba. We are people that nobody think that it's a lie for the entire world. Nobody think that the people in Cuba is suffering for so long. You as a Canadian, maybe you go there as a tourist, and for you everything is good. But for us, terrible. You have to be talking just with your friends, with your family, and never allowed about the government. You cannot say this is wrong or this is not. Even when something is good, it's better not say it, because you cannot talk about the government.
To ask for freedom for my Cuban people. I want to say something. Right now, President Díaz-Canel asked for their own people to kill their own people. So they're going into war right now. They're coming into their homes in the middle of the night and kidnapping their children. And their mothers, they don't know where they are. Okay, so this is their gun. They're coming into their homes and they're shooting. There's been many deaths, and one of them is a 13-year-old in Holguín, dead. This is inhumane, and we are just asking for Díaz-Canel to step down. We just don't want anything from him anymore. We just want him to leave the country and go far. Raúl Castro is gone to Venezuela to go get his Venezuelan friends to go and kill my people of Cuba. And that's what's happening right now. So this is enough. This has to stop. Freedom for Cuba. Freedom for my people.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Soviet Union, as all of us, as my friend Elena and Anastasia. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's very important to understand the nature of the problem, and being a journalist myself, and trying to do my job in Russia, it was after certain actions of Russian government, it's getting harder and harder right now. So I think the Western world still not able to analyze properly how it's dangerous to have a relationship still with dictatorship. If it's Belarus, Russia, whichever, Cuba, it's very important to support the freedom and democracy in the real way. I think that's why we are in here, because since last year, my friends from Belarus, they can tell why they came on the street in the same place exactly last July, right? It's happened.
Yeah.
Alona? Yeah.
Start from July, yeah. And still continue. We fight against dictators. In Belarus, Lukashenko, he is dictator on 27 years. And our people struggle, and many people in jail right now, 540 political prisoners, and more than 40,000 people were imprisoned. Yeah. It's a terrible time, and we hope democracy comes to Belarus and another country like Cuba, Peru, Venezuela, and many, many countries in the world.
I came here a few years ago. I brought my daughter from Cuba. She was 4. This one was born here. And we're really happy to be here. I'm really happy that she won't lose school. I won't lose my job for being protesting here. So that's what I want from my Cuban people. One day to be free of communism, free of the dictatorship. I want them to have what we have, or at least one opportunity to have what we have. If they work hard, if they work and they get a freedom, I think they can get what we have. So, and I think that's all. Freedom, no more communism, freedom of speech, and for sure, I don't want more violence against the Cuban people.
Viva Cuba Libre! Viva! Freedom for Cuba! Freedom! Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba!
Why did you organize the protest tonight?
Because I'm feeling the same as all Cubans are feeling right now. We are very sad, we are very angry, we want change, we want political change. Our people in Cuba took the street to seek this change, and they are being brutally repressed, so the least we can do here is to support them.
Now, there are a lot of young people in Canada who are embracing communism. They think it's a good way to live. You've actually lived under it. What do you think about that?
I think that's like a romantic idea because they have everything they need here and they take for granted a lot of things and they don't know what the communism is, what the communism takes away from them. And if they go to Cuba and they live there for 1 month, they will forget that idea.
¡Abajo el comunismo! ¡Viva Cuba libre! ¡Viva la libertad! ¡Viva! ¡Derechos humanos! ¡Viva el abuso! Let's start from the basic. Food is a big problem. Communication is a big problem. Make it simple. We do not have freedom of speech, we do not have a freedom of religion, and we do not have a freedom of information. And as long as you don't have those three things, you're not free. Communism is not good for you because the loans that you continue following somebody's idea. As an example, you can see Nicaragua, Venezuela, Russia, and some of the countries that have been communist for so many years, they haven't accomplished anything. So in Canada, anybody can be a communist because the real truth and the really fact is that you're not going to live like a communist in here. But in Cuba, you communist is the worst of things you can live at it. So please, the new generation of Canadians do not adopt to be a communist. Communist, it means only one thing: misery. Misery and misery.
Socialism in paper is a really cool idea, but it's been tried many times in different countries like Russia. It's been tried in Belarus, so we have people from Belarus here, and it doesn't work. They want all the power and they promise you freedom, good economy, and never happens. And when you try to ask your freedom back, they won't give it to you. What they try to push you hard and they send you to jail and everything becomes illegal in that country. So that's what we're here fighting for. Freedom of speech, and we can choose whatever we want for our future, not what they want us to do.
I think they just don't know what is communism. They think it's something, a nice idea, that everyone will be equal, but it is not. Communism, it's a terrible regime where no one has freedom. And communism should be prohibited in all countries. No more such parties should be allowed. And democracy is the way to live. What countries are rich and happy, and what countries are poor and not happy and struggling. And look what kind of political system they have. And you will see very clear, democratic countries are rich and happy, and communistic countries are poor and struggling.
Well, communism in theory and communism in practice are entirely different things. It sounds beautiful in theory, but it has failed every time it has been tried. It just can't be done. So far, we've seen democracy and freedom being the best ways to achieve a good society.
Even when you can see Che Guevara in the T-shirt, and you think, oh no, Che Guevara was wonderful. I don't know. You should not believe, and you should ask people like us, not just read magazines or just maybe watch CNN or I don't know. You know. So it's better to ask people like us, and then you can have an idea what is the truth.
Fidel Castro was really, he was really mindful of how the whole process worked, right? So he knew this was all about education. I think it's really important for the Canadian people to understand that education is the key to the bottom of this problem, because Fidel Castro planted the seed of communism throughout the whole America Latina, or Latin America, and that seed is now starting to grow everywhere. Starting to grow in Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, and it's gonna keep expanding unless we start educating everyone about communism. Communism is the worst system ever invented. It's all a lie. It will never work. It's been tried many times. It just simply doesn't work. But we keep teaching students in universities and high-level education that this is a viable system. It is not. It's all a lie to basically offer you stuff for free that is never really free. You end up paying with what you value the most, which is your freedom. That's the only way communism will ever disappear forever, right? We need to educate everyone about this, from kids when they are growing up, and stop replicating this lie and stop replicating this idea that it's just not possible. We can do it way better than what communism brings to the table. I think Canada is, you can see it that way, or you can call it this way, is way more socialist or way more communist, with real programs that really work, and we can speak to it because we live them first. We live them every day, right? We know what the health costs, right? And we pay with our taxes for it, right? But free it just doesn't work. So again, my point is education against communism is really important to make sure that those ideas don't keep expanding throughout the world and other countries don't fall in the same trap that we, the Cubans, fell 60 years ago.
Oh, hey guys, sorry for interrupting, and by the way, thanks for always watching our videos. And if you want to be able to keep watching our videos, I need you to do something. Please go to rebelnews.com and leave us your email address or your phone number. The reason why? YouTube is going to pull the plug on us. It might be today, it might be tomorrow, but it is inevitable. And we want to be able to get in contact with you and let you know where we've gone when that happens. It's rebelnews.com. Super simple. Thanks again.
Canada, please listen! Canada, please listen! Canada, please listen! Canada, please listen!
You're calling for sanctions against Cuba.
Yeah, against the government of Cuba, because it's not the same thing. The people in Cuba is not the government of Cuba. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing that the U.S. does. The U.S. embargo is against the government of Cuba. But if people were to have companies, then the embargo won't affect people. But the government don't want people to have companies, to have wealth. The government is the owner of everything in the country. So when they say the embargo against Cuba is against the companies owned by the government, and also as the government is a violator of human rights, those sanctions are justified. Is what the international community do. If they cannot invade a country, what do governments do to preserve human rights? They make sanctions against the government. So yeah, we are calling for sanctions from the government of Canada against Cuban officials, the Cuban government. We would like Canada to freeze their assets the same way they have done with Nicolas Maduro or Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua. It's the same thing. There's no difference. It's the same type of dictatorships. The only difference is in the eyes of Canada. I don't know why they don't call Cuba a dictatorship.
Do you have a message for the Canadian government?
Yeah, we need support for the Cuban people. That's the main thing. And also Canel to step down. He asked his followers to kill. Then that guy has no right to be in power in Cuba. Down the freaking Canel. Get out of the power in Cuba. Get out of there.
They have a strong Cuban community in the country, and then we support the economy, the freedom. We're really happy to be in this country, and we're asking for their support so more Cubans can live better, can have an opportunity that we're having right now. So please, listening to us, we live in Cuba, we know how it is. Don't let anybody foolish you and tell you that communism, socialism is the best. We gotta help the people who need help, but without being a dictatorship.
Socialism doesn't work at all. Everybody wants and have different ideas, and everybody want to put it in place somehow. But in a communist country, it's not allowed. If you have a different idea of what the president of the Communist Party have, then you run and you can be sent to jail. So we want the the government in Ottawa to know that study a little bit more about Cuba. Talk to the real people. Go and talk to the people who live on the streets. Don't go to Cuba and talk to the president or talk to the people in the government. They're going to tell you the same thing over and over again. Or literacy percent is like 90%, 98%. Yeah, you go to school for free, but you're only allowed to read and teach what they want you to learn. You're not allowed to research about anything else but what they want you to learn. And that's wrong, completely wrong.
Hey, Justin, this is for you, man. We need your help. We really do, okay? Look, I think Canada has one of the best shots at this because Canada has a long-lasting relationship with Cuba and they have a lot of influence over there. If you guys can do something, it'd be really appreciated. Okay? Thanks.
No more repression! No more repression! No more repression! No more repression!
What would happen to you in Cuba if you held the protest that you held here? If you held it in Havana, what would happen to you?
Well, first thing you should know that right now something is happening to me. Right now I am being blocked in Cuba from entering Cuba again. So the world needs to know that Cubans, even though we leave the country, we'll still are punished for what we do outside the country. So my family is there, and I'm pretty sure I won't be allowed to enter the country again. If I were inside the country, I would be in jail right now, for sure.
What would happen in Cuba if a protest was held like this? What would happen?
They would simply won't allow it. Like a protest like this is out of the charts. The police will go after you and will basically take everyone to the prison. And it actually, 4 days ago, the president went on TV and asked his supporters, the Communist Party, to basically kill those protesters, right? Kill meaning, make it die down, make it go away, right? Because it's a problem of optics for them, because they always say that they have the whole support of the people, and that's just simply not true. People don't think the same. Two people never think alike, right? Everyone has their own ideas, and everyone's entitled to have them. He's simply trying to suppress those ideas and faking and making sure, or giving the impression that everyone thinks the same, everyone is in the same boat. It simply is not. So something like this will never be possible in Cuba. The police will go after it, the military will go after it, and it will simply won't be possible.
What you're doing right now in Cuba is illegal. You can be sent to jail right now just for doing this. Interviewing somebody speaking the truth, that's illegal. So that's what we're asking for: freedom for Cuba, freedom of speech. Everybody can do different parties with different ideas, and that's what we're asking for. Different ideas, that's all we care. People with different point of views, bring all the Cubans together, instead of like the Cuban president went on live television, national television, and asked the revolutionaries to go and combat the other people on the streets. That's just putting the Cuban people to fight between each other, and that's not right. That shouldn't be like that ever. We are all Cubans, we all belong to Cuba, and the streets is for all the Cubans, not only the revolutionary ones.
The communists.
The communists.
Yeah, he's calling revolutionary to the communists. But revolution is actually change. It's actually like change what is not right. And then he's calling revolution to only his dictatorship. I don't think that's a way to, that's not the way to do it. We should all be listening.
Now, if there's one thing that you want Canadians to know about what's happening in Cuba right now, what would that be?
How the Cuban people are getting attacked, how the Cuban people are being violated by their human rights and rights. Right now, the Cuban people are being very, 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 very hostile and in a very bad situation. Please, Canada, thank you, Canada, for my freedom. Thank you, Canada, for everything I have. Everything I have. I thank Canada for it. I consider myself a newfie and a Cuban, but I'm a newfie. And I love this country. So thank you, Canada, for my freedom, and thank you, Canada, for everything I got. And please help us to be free. That's all I ask.
Patria y vida!
this is really important. The protest there is not about food, it's not about medicine, it's not about poverty. Yes, we are hungry, we have lack of medicine, and we have lots of things that we don't have, but we are chanting freedom, democracy, because Cubans realize now, the whole country, that the main source of our problem is the government, is our political, economical system that doesn't work. The communist regime doesn't work. The US embargo itself is a consequence of the mismanagement of the country by the Cuban government. So once we recover our freedoms, our liberties, once we can elect another party to be the government of Cuba, we know we can provide solutions to all of our problems. So that's why people took the streets claiming for freedom. So the Canadian public needs to know that. And please don't put more words in Cubans' mouth. We are not saying anything against the US embargo, though many Cubans don't agree with the US embargo, but these protests are not about the US embargo. It's about us inside our country, our system. We want to change, and we are saying it very clear. So don't twist our words, because I see lots of opinions there, the Canadian media, and they repeat the same version that the Cuban government say. No, yeah, the U.S. embargo is to blame for everything, and Cubans, yeah, the U.S. No. Cubans went to the streets screaming, claiming for freedom, democracy. That's the first thing. And the other thing would be for the Canadian media and the Canadian government, as part of the Canadian nation, to condemn the regime, the communist Cuban regime, and to stand with the Cuban people.
Now, what can regular Canadians do to help Cubans in their fight for freedom?
I would say, first of all, research, learn what is happening, talk to Cubans. Don't talk to other Canadians who study the story of Cuba. Just talk to Cubans, know the reality of Cubans, know that in every Cuban family there are many stories of pain, of suffering, of someone who is in jail, or of someone who died, or someone who had to leave the country because it was living in misery there. And yeah, Canadians, please speak with the Cuban people, know their truth, and forget for 1 minute your opinions or maybe your ideology of, yeah, maybe socialism is good, communism is good. It's not about that. Just listen right now what the Cubans are saying. We are not saying that because we want to. No, we have lived in that for 62 years. So there's no way you can know more than us. Just listen to us and support us in our cause for freedom.
There are many ways to support, right? One of the ways is, and very common among Canadians, go there and spend your money down there on vacation and whatnot. That's just simply supporting the system, right? Because ultimately they are the owners, right? They own everything there, from hotels to food chains to restaurants to airports. Everything is owned by the government. So every time you go down there, you are indirectly supporting this system, right? And you're basically breathing in or giving it new life. So it's very simple for the Canadians. Go take your business somewhere else. Don't go to Cuba while they are still a communist country, right? There are many beautiful places all over the Caribbean that you can go to, and spend your money there. That will affect them greatly, because I think somewhere between 50 and 60% of all the tourism industry comes from Canada, which is a very significant number.
Viva Cuba Libre, Díaz-Canel sin casa.
The communism is spreading, and this is not good. Not for the Cuban people, not for Venezuelan or anybody. Anybody should have the communism as an ideology that's is actually here in Canada. I think there is lots of people that think they are not communism, but they are, because they cannot compare. They are living here and they not compare like us, and this is wrong. We can talk, so thank you, Sheila.
Yes.
I know you because with David Menzies. David Menzies.
Yeah, David Menzies.
I always watch watch Rebel News, and I love you.
Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba! Freedom for Cuba!
Well, there you have it. The protest has just wrapped up. They've started marching around the streets of Edmonton. And the message here is, don't believe the mainstream media. The Cubans want freedom, and they don't like communism, and they don't want it here. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Friends, it's stories just like this one that are the reason that big tech and Justin Trudeau want to censor us. This story contradicts the accepted mainstream media narrative being pushed about the protests in Cuba right now. It's the reason they are going to kick us off of YouTube. Now, we've got a backup plan. If that happens, we want to be able to stay in touch with you. Just go to rebelnews.com. There's a little pop-up there. Leave your phone number or your email address. We won't sell it, but when YouTube kicks us off of the platform for telling the truth, like I am today, we will have a way to stay in touch with you. Again, that's rebelnews.com.